So as we've sifted through the resolutions, I found that the most resolutions passed were on these disturbed areas apart from national issues. For example, 25 resolutions on Jammu Kashmir, about 19 on Northeast, about 15 or 16 on Punjab, and continuously right from 1950 onwards when this meeting started taking place, there is a sense of continuity about RSS stance. So we chose to focus on that. So my inquiry was about on a particular policy, what RSS policy was. Over the years, whether policy was consistent, if there is a fine-tuning or change in the stance, what was the cause for this? At the same time, when these resolutions were passed, what was the actual position in the society, in the nation? So, for example, if I pass a resolution about terrorist attack in Jammu Kashmir, then what was happening at that time? What was the media reaction? What were the leaders thinking? And what were the history writers of those time, contemporary history, were saying about it? So that gave a complete picture. So when I say this book is about RSS resolutions, it is actually not a resolutions, it is a resolution which may be 1/3 of the content, 2/3 of the content is coming from outside sources. I have used minimal sources from within RSS because that creates a bias. There are of course personal talks with pracharaks, with workers. There are some internal documents because that information is not available outside. But overall, after having seen what others were saying, then when RSS passes resolutions and asks its Swayamsevaks and people to do something on the ground, does RSS do it? Is there a follow-up? So whether you will find example of new organizations being created, you will find workers being specially deputed for the particular reason. For example, in Punjab, when Punjab Rashtriya Suraksha Samiti was organized, and this book is actually dedicated to Jay Krishan ji, who expired just about 2 years back. And when I met him, he was so happy that finally RSS documentation will be made about its contribution in Punjab struggle. He was not physically fit from waist below for certain reasons, and he was very happy. He had all the cuttings, he had all the documentation with him. And when you meet such people, you realize how a normal or Swayamsevak who has nothing else to look forward to, who has no post, he doesn't want any post, who sacrifices his life, takes all the risk. When he was asked whether he take the responsibility, he said yes. Then he said, you know what will happen? He said yes, I'll get a bullet. So that's the spirit which keeps the RSS work going, and on the ground how people work. At the same time, when this was organized, RSS deputed 15 pracharaks from all over India to Punjab, specifically to look after the organization work there, so that local RSS people could work on the ground to struggle for Sikh Hindu unity, which was the main effort of the Khalistanis to break that chain, to break that link, very strong bond. Similarly, over to Jammu Kashmir, you find people who lost their own ones, but they were fighting the Pakistani attackers in 1947, in 1986. They were there. There is a Swayamsevak here who was part of the 1990 Exodus, whom I happen to know. And there are many such examples you find in the book. Every time, the underpinning of the entire struggle, of entire approach of RSS was the common cultural base of the nation. What we call unity in diversity, what exactly is the unity? What is the cultural unity of nation? You come to know when RSS tries to find unifying threads in what seems very diverse. There are people who try to use the fault lines to create fissures in the society, break the society, but there is RSS which uses same common threads to bring people together. So that has been approached in all the 3 regions. So after having seen what RSS does on the ground, then finally its vision over last 70 years, how it has helped simmer down the insurgency or the conflicts, how it has, although criticizing government all the time, it has also been able to help the government to find solutions to those areas. So whether it was continuous sustained effort against 370 or 35A, educating people, letting people know, working for the internally displaced Kashmiri brothers and sisters in Kashmir, exposing the citizenship law there, and sustained campaign for 370, which finally went after 70 years. Even the trifurcation of the states was proposed by RSS in way back 93 and 94. If you go to Northeast, it was continuous. If you know, there is continuous church domination and the terrorism which was being supported by the church. It is all in the documents. At the same time, realizing that they cannot overpower this, they cannot fight this church power there. The work there was more of seva, more of education, more of economic well-being, and reviving the faith of people in the tribal culture. Because the entire effort of the church was to break down the society, to break their confidence in the tribal culture, to tell them you are savages, you have no culture, and convert them and give them various offers. So there is a story about a Swayamsevak from Thane, Bhaiyaji Kane, who was requested by Guruji to go and start a school in northeast, at that time Assam. So he opened a school 6 kilometers from Myanmar border, and it takes 2 days to go to that school. And he thought, I'll take some kids from here and take them to Mumbai, so people know what is the other part of Bharat. They will feel more close to each other and will bring people here to northeast. That is the idea still being worked. So when he decided it, the local people opposed it, saying you will take the kids there, you will sell them off, you will take away their kidney and whatnot. So he had a young child with him called Jayant. He's still there, he's still working for northeast. He said, you take this kid, keep him with you. If I come back with your kids, you return my kid. It was not his son, by the way, he was his student. They agreed and the student also agreed. Look at the faith. So the student stayed back in Manipur, and Bhaiyaji Kane brought those students to Mumbai. And now if you see, there are scores of hostels of northeast people in Maharashtra, especially because Maharashtra has adopted northeast. And that is how slowly the entire narrative around northeast changed after 2014, of course, with a lot of development. And you see this narrative has a change. So it doesn't happen overnight. Same, so if you look through an entire episode, you'll find how slowly and steadily, with a particular area, with a particular approach, with so strength in mind, taking people along, RS has been able to change the situation on the ground. So that is the, in short, what I have done in the book.